My name's Deputy Inspector General of Police, Dr. Shehu, PSC. To talk about PRAWA, Prisoners Rehabilitation and Welfare Action, we have a very, very good rapport, good understanding, and good synergy between the police and PRAWA for many years. It is an institution that concerns primarily on respect of dignity and human rights, which the police are supposed to be part of it. And also capacity building to the police to enable them to perform effectively and efficiently in conjunction with the fundamental respect to the fundamental human rights as enshrined into the Nigerian constitutions of 1999. It's very, very beneficial, and at the same time in building capacity and enabling the police officers to perform credibly when they go out to discharge their duties. The police is an organization that deals with all kinds of human beings. When they come across a police officer, they deserve to be respected by police in ensuring not only their security and safety, but also in respecting their dignity and human rights. So in a nutshell, the training and retraining we are getting from the PRAWA is to enable us have police that will function and discharge their duties in a most standard and acceptable manner by members of the public. At this juncture, I want to say kudos. Welcome to the Nigeria Police Force online training.
No need to fight, oh, because your picking no go join you. They go, they won't corner, they laugh you. Oh, don't sell your photo. Yeah. Okay. If you look at the situation, everything harsh for this our nation.
Please, comport yourself so that we can do this with maturity and fast.
Come, madam, be in the queue.
It's mostly our party members that have been accredited, though.
Yes, thank God. We shall vote and protect our votes. I know your party must win here. We are 1 hour behind time. We are supposed to have started voting.
You are lazy. You are lazy. You are not fast. You are lazy. Please calm down. You all must vote. Relax.
You are not fast.
Officer, let's set up the voting cubicle so that those accredited will start voting.
Sule, go and vote first. Then come back and start underground campaign. After we must have finished voting, we may cause commotion so that the voting will stop and only our votes will count.
Mab, you wise well. Oh, you are buying votes and disrupting the accreditation.
Sorry, my people. Please, can someone tell us what happened?
Ma, this your staff here is not competent oh. She accredited all the members of ZMP party first and threatened to stop accreditation.
Madam, don't mind him. During accreditation, they were busy sharing money while we were on queue. Now he's crying foul. Does this lady know any of us here?
You know, we're still discussing the course on human rights and policing elections. You know, we have done the introduction, we have done topic, the module 1, but this is module 2 we're discussing on. And module 2 is building on what you studied during the module 1. And what we're going to do under module 2 is to look at the other relevant laws and guidelines for policing elections. That's what we're going to do. So the lesson objective for this module is to help create awareness of relevant laws and guidelines that police in relation to policing elections in Nigeria. So it's deepening your knowledge in relation to this. Again, the expected outcome is that you as a police officer that is participating in this training should be able to have greater knowledge, not just have it, demonstrate it, greater knowledge in relation to the laws and guidelines, you know, dealing with policing of elections in Nigeria. And remember what I said, it's not just knowing it, but you should also be able to carry out steps that will encourage the compliance in relation to these rules. So there are 4 key legal instruments that I would like to consider under this particular module. I would like us to look at the Police Act, and as you know, when there is a change in the act, whatever new act you have becomes also the one that you are going to look at, you know, and use it in applying. At the moment, we understand that we already know that there is a process in terms of changing the previous Police Act to have a new act. But at the moment, we're looking at Police Act. The second is the guidelines for the conduct of police officers of election. The guidelines for the conduct of police officers on electoral duties. The third one is the basic principles on the use of force and firearm by law enforcement officials. And then the last is the Electoral Act. Don't forget the point I made in terms of any law. We must always make sure that we update ourselves as these laws evolve or change or get modified or get amended. Now, let's look at Police Act. Section 4, for example, of the Police Act clearly spells out the basic functions of the Nigerian Police Force. Okay? Meaning that these functions that is stated here are the functions that you, as a police officer, is supposed to be carrying out in the field. And what are these? Prevention and detection of crime. Next, apprehension of offenders. The next one is preservation of law and order. Protection of life and property. Enforcement of all laws and regulations with which they are charged. And then, military duties within or outside Nigeria as may be required. So, for the purpose of electoral duties, the first 3 functions are very, very important. The police have a responsibility to prevent and detect electoral crimes. They have the responsibility to apprehend offenders during elections. Offenders during elections. That means those who have violated the Electoral Act or who have carried out other electoral crime, they have the duty to apprehend them. And finally, they have the duty to preserve law and order throughout the electoral process. Okay? Let's look at the other one, which is the guidelines for the conduct of police officers on electoral duty. You know, in 2003, the Police Service Commission issued guidelines for the conduct of police officers on electoral duties in Nigeria. And the aim was actually to regulate the exercise of police powers while performing their electoral functions. Let's look at these guidelines. The first one is about safeguarding the security of lives and property of the citizens during campaign and elections, okay? The second is about ensuring the safety of the electoral officers before, during, and after elections. The third is providing security for candidates during campaigns and elections. The fourth function is ensuring and preserving a free, fair, safe, and lawful atmosphere for campaigning by all parties. Please mark that word. By all parties and candidates without discrimination. The fifth one relates to maintaining peaceful conditions, maintaining law and order around the polling booths and the polling centers as well as around the counting centers. 6 relates to providing security for electoral officers at voting and counting centers and ensuring the security of election materials at voting and counting centers and during their transportation thereto. It is the duty of the police to ensure that election and electoral process and indeed electoral materials are not stolen, that are not hijacked, they are not destroyed or fraudulently altered by any group of persons or any group of persons. If you also look at the mandatory guidelines for police officers on electoral duties, when you go through, you see that further guidelines that were also stated to guide the police officers on electoral duties include the following. It actually begins to flag the importance of some of the following things. What is it? Number 1 is about alertness. You as a police officer need to be alert, need to be prompt in responding to any form of incident that could violate or escalate any issue which have been identified in these guidelines as what you as a police officer should be able to guard, should be able to protect. The second one is approachability. Police officers on election duty need to be approachable and accessible to the voters. You must be in the kind of position where they will feel free to complain to you about something. They will feel free to alert you. They should be able to trust you enough to be able to approach you. This is important. Let's look at other ones. Professionalism. You as a police officer must be professional in everything you're doing. Your demeanor, your personal approach, you must be seen to be professional. You must act very professionally. Number 4, maintenance of impartiality. You must not give any room for anyone to suspect that you are impartial. This is important. So, every candidate must see you as one who is maintaining a neutral position. Number 5 speaks about fairness. Elections are usually politically charged. No doubt about it. The public is usually very sensitive during this period. Everyone indeed is. So how you act to show fairness is important. Police officers on election duties must always strive to be fair to all and to avoid any conduct that could be seen as being high-handed, or that could be seen as being unfair, or that could be seen as being politically motivated. The other thing you must also note is the issue about use of force. Every voter has a right to their life, have the right to physical and psychological integrity. So when you look through this, you will see that you are supposed to be able to abide by all that is stated here in terms of the use of force. The use of force by the police officer during electoral duty is a grave act. It is a grave act, especially when such incidents, that would lead to any loss of life. So here it is only telling us already that every incident must be promptly documented. It must be reported to the superior officer of that officer that is involved in that. You have also seen that the Police Service Commission stated here that it will investigate and take appropriate action on every incident, in relation to this. We also need to look at other point, issue about communication with superiors and commanders during elections. And he stated here clearly that in the event of any threat to or a breakdown of law and order during an election, that officers on duty must immediately report the